First thing I have to say, if you look up there, if you look at this tie, I own more than one tie. My wife dresses me, so it's her fault. You know, my story at Sac State's not unlike the story of thousands of other Sac State graduates. Like it was said, I'm a first-generation college student, so that means something. It means that I come from a hardworking family, very blue-collar. My dad was laid carpet, linoleum, tile. He did that very hard work until he blew his knees out and he blew his back out and he couldn't work any longer. When I was young, very young, he took me to work and he said, I'm going to work you so hard, you're going to want to get an education. It worked. My mom is the hardest working person I know. I would say she works harder than anyone in this room today. When I was growing up, she did everything she could in order to support us. She cleaned houses, she worked the tomato fields, she worked as a cook, and I am fortunate to have my mom here tonight, right at table 11. In 3 weeks, my mom turns 77. And hold on, after you hear this, you'll clap. And at 77, she's decided it might be time to go down from working 5 days a week to 4 days a week. And I am still scared of her. Sometimes first-generation students need a little help to be able to get in college. I graduated from high school. I was working at a Shell gas station in the area back in the old days where you were on the pumps, and I cleaned windows, and I checked the oil, and I pumped the gas. And that was what later I found out was a gap year, so I was doing something very cool before I knew that was the cool thing to do. So during my gap year, I had a day off, the true story is I came here because I had a friend who was applying for readmission to Sac State, so I came with her. I was sitting in, and there was a person by the name of Booker Banks, and Booker Banks was a long-time person in admissions. And my friend did what she needed to do, and Booker sent her out to be able to go take care of paying what she needed to pay. And then I had never met Booker before, and it was just he and I left alone in the room. And when we were left alone, he looked at me and he said, "What are you doing with your life?" Now, I came from the bad part of town. I thought he was challenging me to a fight. He was not in my weight class, so I was feeling pretty good about that. And if you know me, I looked at him honestly and I said, well, Booker, I'm in the petroleum industry. I got an entry-level position and things are looking up. Booker didn't buy that. He slid the application over and I filled it out. And I was a Sac State student just 2 weeks later. Now, as a first-generation student, you don't succeed unless you have successful people behind you, especially faculty members. There are several faculty members from 30 years ago that are here tonight that I would like to recognize and just tell you what they did for me and they do for a lot of other first-generation college students. Nick Burnett. Nick Burnett has been my biggest advocate since I was a junior in college. Nick taught me what it was like to be a mentor to other people, and that's something I will always cherish that he gave to me. Dr. Virginia Kidd, sitting in the front row here. Dr. Virginia Kidd, she taught me and other people, find what you're passionate about, do that for your job in life, and everything else will work out. And it has, and I know she did that. Dr. John Williams, on the back there. Dr. Williams happened to chaperone me to a trip in China. He taught me about personal responsibility. We got off the flight. He looked at me, not any other people. He looked at me and he said, if you end up in a Chinese prison, I'm leaving here without you. So I made a note to self, Dr. Williams does not have my back. Dave Wagner, where are you, Dave? Dave, I took a visual, he taught me you need to pay attention to directions. I took a visual communication course from him. I decided to do my final on rap music. Apparently that's not visual. Luckily, I didn't need a good grade in that class to be able to graduate. And finally, Val Smith, Dr. Val Smith. Where's Val? Oh, there's Val. Val taught me that you don't need to be funny if you're a college professor. You need 5 jokes. Students change every semester. Tell the same 5 jokes over and over. So here's how I tricked him into being the funny guy on campus. I took his 5 jokes, I added 3, and I was the funniest guy on campus. Lastly, I just need to recognize my family. I've got my son Benjamin here, who's going to be a second generation college student soon. Second generation college students, he's more motivated than I ever was. He's smarter than I ever was, and he just has a focus that I never had. Two things I say. First thing, he'll never be as good looking as me, so I have that on him. And I shower more frequently. And as it turns out, he's a black belt, truly, so I'm going to pay for that tonight. Lastly, the most important thing that Sac State gave me was my wife, Catherine. She is a 2-graduate Hornet, undergraduate and master's. I would give it all the way. She has been my biggest supporter. She supported me in everything I did at Sac State. She supported me when I said, this school in Milwaukee called and wanted to talk to me about a dean's position. She left her job that she loved at another university across the causeway, which we will not name, to travel with me to Milwaukee, even though my youngest daughter said, Dad, and she's 8, people don't move from California to Milwaukee. They do it the other direction. And my wife left her job and then ended up with me as her boss. Life is good. And I thought that was going to help me more at home. It does not. Last story. About a year ago, my wife said, if you die, what do you want me to do with you? Which is the week before she said we should really increase our insurance. And I said, and I kid you not, you can ask her. I didn't hesitate, and I said, cremate me and illegally spread my ashes at Sac State. And I tell you this story not because I want you to know how much I love Sac State, but I would think it's very funny if you see my wife after I die walking around, call the police on her. You would know I would think that's very funny. Thank you to the selection group. Thank you to, congratulations to all the other winners. Great night.